Okay, we are live. It's that time. We will let our folks get on here. It's time for my favorite time of week, Cats and Coffee. Dr. Liz Bales. Hi.
Hi, I brought my coffee. But
You did.
My cat because if she was here, you would only see her behind, and we would be distracting.
Don't they kind of do that? They're like, here's the important part. I'm glad you brought your coffee. I forgot mine today, but I might have had a bit of enough. I think so this is my family. This is my Wednesday family. We do Cats and Coffee. I get to talk to friends. I get to talk to new people. I get to make friends. So this is like I feel like, especially in COVID, like my time with my friends. But I have to say, I think probably a lot of our viewers today are going to be fangirling pretty hard because you're Dr. Liz Bales. I mean,
I'm fangirling over you, first of all. You're amazing. And over them. I mean, the passionate cat people out there are changing the world for the better. And I'm so excited to speak their language and talk the cat talk.
Isn't it fun? Like, we have this whole community of people who are like, I just want to know better, do better, be a better cat owner. And you're like, oh my gosh, I need 100,000 of you. And we've been able to find some ways to connect to these amazing folks. So they're starting to log in and starting to watch today because we actually have this kind of community that comes back week after week to learn more and do better as cat owners. And honestly, I think we talk about you every single week. A lot of times you watch, so we get to like shout out Dr. Liz Bales.
There's never enough learning. And I learn from you and from your guests all the time. So my least favorite personality type is the one, well, least and most, because I like a challenge. Yeah. But I've had cats for X number of years. I know everything about cats. Well, maybe, but I don't. I mean, and I've been to vet school and I've been devoting my life to studying cats for 20 years, and I'm still learning every day. And I have cats. So it's such a privilege to be immersed in this community of learning.
Yeah, isn't it? And then when we have people who want to, like, you're right, we're not battling uphill trying to break down old myths, because there's a lot when it comes to cats. And in the veterinary community, we always say they're not small dogs, right? Cats are not small dogs, because for so long, we just kind of treated them like they were, but we've really learned how to hone in and be amazing cat owners. I mean, like, it's not just a matter of like, oh, getting the knowledge out there. Like, we have this huge, I would say, wave of products and knowledge and outreach happening with products. So I want to stop here too and just say, Dr. Liz Bales, you guys know her as Doc and Phoebe's. She is Dr. Liz Bales from Doc and Phoebe. So when I am always holding up those mice at you guys and I'm like, this is what you need every single week after week after week, like, our guests will say it, and I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. I have a mouse feeder around here somewhere. This is who we're talking about, the right here, Dr. Liz Bales. And so products like this are what, not just say, hey, cat owners that want the info and like cat owners that want to do better, but like we can make and do better for our cats. It's not just about knowing, but the doing.
And this is why I have changed my whole career and have devoted my entire life to cats, because we had this amazing knowledge, but it was really staying stuck in a certain community of really academic, devoted, amazing people, and the everyday myths were predominating. And I learned, which this upsets people every time and upsets me to say it, but yeah. I have just reconfirmed it with the ISFM information that the number one cause of death for cats is not something that veterinarians treat in their offices. I became a vet to save lives. And I learned that the number one cause of death for my patients was something I was ignoring. And that is euthanasia. And the number one cause of euthanasia is not being put to sleep for a disease. It is being put to sleep because there's not room for you in a shelter, because you were given up for adoption, because your person did not appreciate your behavior. So behavior problems, our misunderstanding of cats' basic needs and how to provide for them is the number one cause of death for cats. And then you take that a step further, and cat people say, There's nothing out there for me. Why am I going to the pet store? And then pet stores say, why should I invest in pet products? Because what we put there wasn't working. It didn't change anything. There really was no innovation that was changing cats' lives. And I'm like, this is crazy. I never wanted to be a product designer. I never hoped to have a company. I wanted to be a veterinarian, but how could I let I think that the number that I have in my most recent presentation from 2015 from the SPCA data is 1.3 million cats were euthanized in 2015 because of overcrowding in shelters because they don't have a home. Yeah. So in my veterinary hospital, in one day, how many cases could I see? I mean, 15, something like that. And how many was I saving their life? I mean, 1 or 2 a week, I was performing a procedure like unblocking or an acute procedure that was saving their life. Not that all the other care isn't important. The whole shebang is important. But I really felt that it took me stepping into a different role to make change. And so that's why I figured if we have the physical product that's a solution and the education to know how important it is, maybe we can start to move those numbers. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm excited, as long as we're talking about stuff, it should have been here already, but the pandemic slowed that down. But I have 5 new things coming this year, all based on lots of science about cats' behavioral needs. And I can't wait for them to be here. So the marketplace is listening.
Yes. Yeah, so first of all, I get like teary-eyed when you give me those numbers, and I will tell you why. Dr. Mark Johnson in the UK, I believe you probably know him, and his wife, Ben, she's a veterinarian over there as well. He and I were talking about these types of numbers the other day, and he said, Becky, that is the entirety of cats in the UK. 1 million cats is like what we have. So that's basically saying in 1 year in the US, every single cat in the UK equivalent. So those, like, that's the kind of numbers we're talking about. And that to me, I was like, wow, like we're really actually talking about a lot of like just numbers we can't even think about.
And we know how to fix it.
Right. Okay. Right? So that's what we know how, then how do we fix it? So how do we fix it? And so first of all, that brings us to knowing their emotions, right? Because like to fix it, we have to know their emotions. And cats, so many people think like, oh, I don't want a cat because they are so aloof and they don't show their emotions like a dog. And I'm like, well, wait, you are not catting the right way. So tell us about cats, their emotions, and why it's so super important to like be able to get here.
So we have to start with, there are species differences in how you see the world and how you move in the world. It's easy to think about it like a fish versus a person. We breathe differently.
Yeah.
We eat differently. They swim in their poop. Like there's a lot of differences there. Yeah. But so that's kind of easier for us to understand how that's like totally different. But humans have this problem of looking at other mammals and thinking about the world from their perspective. We look at it, and I am as guilty as anybody else. It's just a human condition to look at the world from our perspective. And we always say cats are not small dogs, but we got to start with cats are not small people.
Sure.
Right? And so what we need, and I bet you've either been you've done this or it's happened to you. I know I've done it and it's happened to me. We love someone so much and we think about an important gift to give them. Yeah. And then what we give them is what we want.
Yes.
And then they're like, oh, thanks. We love them. We tried, we cared, we spent more than we should have, all those things. But we didn't think that they need to receive what they need, not what we need.
Like a love language, right? Like being in their space and meeting people and pets where they're at. Like one of my favorite training quotes is, you train the pet in front of you. So it is truly, like you said, it's not knowing everything about cats, because from one cat to another cat to another cat. Like, how many cats do you have and how similar are they, right? Like, I have two, like, just night and day cats. So it's not even about knowing cats or one cat or anything, because they're all different, right? So how do you start to do that? How do you see it from their point of view?
So the most important thing to recognize is that cats are solitary survivors. This is like when you start to think about it. Now, the first thing people say is, yeah, but my cat's this and my cat's that. Yes, they can live happily in social groups, but they don't need to. So human beings and horses and dogs, Mother Nature put into us a whole code of information in our instincts that we need to cooperate with each other to survive. And that informs everything that we do. Now, speaking from personal experience, sometimes I'm successful in that and sometimes I'm not. Yeah. But it informs every choice we make and how we see the world. Cats are different. That makes us totally different. So cats are solitary survivors. Human beings are socially dependent. Cats are solitary survivors. So their whole code for how to make sure they stay alive is about being alone. So basics, I hunt alone. I eat alone. I know how to live alone and often am safest alone. So if I'm going to choose to live with other cats, that means that there's enough food, because there's another moment. Cats in nature need to hunt, kill, and eat. The numbers move around a little bit, so I make my range bigger, but somewhere between 8 and 12 mice, one cat.
Yes.
8 and 12 mice every single 24-hour period.
Yes. Well, yeah, we were talking to Dr. Ken Lambrick about that the other day, and people's minds were blowing. You could hear it over the internet, because they're like, you want me to feed my cat 6 times a day? And he's like, look, in nature, we're going after 6 to 8 mice a day. So yes, not to interrupt you, but like that does blow people's minds.
Everything. So for a cat, the most important thing in the world is controlling your space. Do I have enough food? Can I be safe in here? Can I make sure that no other cats are going to take my food? Really different than human beings, because human beings think, like, if I get Girl Scout cookies and we live together, I might hide them from you. So
like, oh, it's already on. I knew you were. I was like, well, what kind do you like? We could work this out.
Samoa and the Thin Mint.
But we can't live together.
We can't live together, right? But that's I'm already starting from a place of social living.
Right.
Cats will think, I'm not even going here because there's not enough for both of us. I'm out.
Yeah. Yes.
So the whole way that they even choose their space is so different. They don't really naturally guard or protect their resources. Cats are such incredible hunters. They have, most of us have experienced it at one point or another, incredible weapons, right? They have knives coming out of their hands and knives in their mouth. So Mother Nature made them not do anything they could not to fight with each other.
Yes.
So physically, once they're going to get into it, they know that they might die.
Yeah, right. Oh, and I love that point, because for several reasons. One, because we think our cats fight. And I always try to, when I'm coaching folks on Coach My Cat, I say, listen, if nobody's dead, we're working things out. We're maybe not doing great, but let's just be clear. They've got the power to finish this if they need to. So as long as there's some disengagement. But I wanted to go back to what you said about the solitary aspect. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because so frequently when I'm coaching or when we're talking with cat owners, they say, I got another cat because they thought he needed company. Right. And so very similar to dogs, we think, oh, they'll be each other's playmate. They'll be each other's, everything. And then we have these cats who do what we consider negative behaviors, but they're very clear, like messages. And you're like, well, I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why they're attacking each other. I got them for company. And then I'm like, okay, well, what else do we have to hunt in our space? What else do we have to eat in our space? We kind of just added just like a competition, right?
And Mother Nature has programmed them to say, get out. Yes. Before we're even going to try and get along, Mother Nature programs cats to say, you should be worried about your space all the time because of how much you need to eat and how scarce safety is. So we are going to start at no. And then we might be able to work into maybe. We might be able to work into yes. But we are most definitely starting at no.
Yeah.
Whereas most human beings are made to be like, start at maybe and
Sure.
maybe. But I bet you, Becky, you still wouldn't want me to come over today with no warning and say, by the way, here are your 4 new roommates. See you later.
Yes, I mean, like, and that is what we are not, when you say we don't look at it from their point of view, that is a perfect example of looking at it from our cat's point of view and saying, how would you feel if this is how, because that is absolutely what we do. Not to say can't live together, right? Like, not to say you can't have 10 cats, whatever. We're not bashing siblings. We're not bashing multi-cat households. Hello, 2 cats here. But we are not necessarily looking at it from their point of view, right? Like, I want to be clear.
We really have to understand what social living means to them. Again, we go back to the difference between humans and cats. Humans can't, a lot of us, we really want that almost density of cats in our lives. They're so cute and so wonderful. So we want to save. We're so programmed to nurture and love. And I cannot discourage that. I mean, we need more love in this world.
Yes.
But what's complicated is we don't understand. We're giving the wrong gift to the wrong species. So for cats, they start at no because they're trying to protect what is keeping them safe in their space, which is the number one most important thing to them. And then if they're gonna let in someone new, they need to smell like me. We need to have enough of all of our stuff so that we can get along. And if we don't have enough of our stuff, I'm going to start to do things that in cat language mean this is mine and I'm protecting it. And those things might be marking with my claws. So I give you a visual cue that I don't want you here. And I give you a scent clue. Like I said, cats really don't want to fight with each other. So they use all of this other stuff to communicate so that they don't even have to be in the same room for their messages to be received. I'm going to leave scent. I'm going to leave visual cues, might leave me some pee so that you know this is not working for me.
Yes.
So when the human sees those visual cues of it not working, we interpret that as that is a bad cat.
Bad cat. Bad behavior, bad cat. Declaw, put them outside, spray with water bottles, negative responses to what we see as negative behaviors that are really truly communication. They're really truly just like family meeting. Hey, I'm unhappy.
Right away, when we see that stuff, we have to change our internal dialogue from that's a bad cat to this environment is not meeting their needs.
Yes. Yes. And it's my favorite thing at Coach My Cat. When I start to read like this list of like, my cat's doing this, I'm like, oh, baby, yes. Because like, I am ready for this. So Dr. Liz Bales, when you say stuff, what is stuff? When we're talking about the resources that they're worried about, what are the triggers going to be? What's the stuff?
So I feel so passionately about food for cats. In nature, cats spend 80% of their waking hours hunting for food. So food abundance is their number one concern. Now, human beings, like when you think of food abundance, I think of like a Renaissance fair with turkey legs, like a table full of food, right?
Yes.
That's not what it means for a cat, which is like very tricky because we think, well, I have that huge bowl in the kitchen. It's full all the time. It's wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's wrong. So what we need is to recreate the natural hunting of being able to find my food. Cats have this instinct to want to locate, then interact with and play with prey before getting it. So think about a mouse. A mouse does not hang out in the same place every day.
Right.
Let's say if you have 2 cats, 20 mice do not hang out in one spot in your kitchen every single day.
There's no like mouse hole that they just dispenser. I hope. Right. We work hard not to have that.
Department, right? So recreating the hunt, catch, play, eat many times a day in many different locations for every cat in your house is baseline. That's baseline of the number one thing that's the most important to them. Because food, everything about what a cat chooses in nature is keeping them safe and keeping them fed. And fed is really number one.
Yeah.
So fed is really number one. So they can have all the safety in the world, but if they can't eat, they're leaving. And if they can't eat somewhere else, but they're not that safe, they're going to choose that.
Yeah.
They're going to choose that. So food is the number in the way that they need to receive it is the number one most important. And at the end, I want to circle back because we've been training them to eat from bowls. So when we introduce them to their natural way of eating, it takes a little bit of coaching. And I don't want people to get frustrated.
Sure.
Because it's already hard for us to think about eating from something other than a bowl in our kitchen. So we have this instinct to say, this isn't right.
Yeah.
And then if they don't, I think about in my mind, a Labrador retriever, like when you show them a biscuit, they're like, blah, 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 and they eat in 2 seconds. That's the human equivalent of this is working. And that's not what you're going to see from your cat. And so you're already worried you're not doing it correctly. And then they don't go for it. And you're like, I quit. That's it. This is nuts. So I want to walk people through that at the end. But we're going to go back to what are the resources. So the recreating the hunt, catch, play, eat for every cat in your house. Number one. Number two, in the nature, a cat is going to choose to live in a place where they have their own little crevices to crawl into and high places to climb. Now, every cat is going to be a little different. That depends on genetics. That depends on epigenetics, which is like, so interesting, and their life experiences. So some cats might be more inclined to want to have lots of beds and small places. Some cats are going to be more inclined to want to have shelves, cat trees, places to climb, but you need to have both.
Yes. Yeah.
And you need to have both in each room that your cats spend time in, and you need to have enough for each cat. So this is like for people who have 8 cats, 10 cats, and they all spend time in the living room, they're like, I can't do this. And I say, I will hold your hand. And I realize now that you're understanding what a feat this is, I will help you. Yeah. But you can't reject it. You really just can't, because it's true. And you got those cats because you wanted to take care of them. Now you're learning what care means. Let me help you find solutions in the MultiCat household and in the MegaCat household to meet these needs. But you just can't say no. And you also can't say no because you have a dog. Yeah. One of my favorite articles that I wrote is, I have a dog. And then I like to say, oh, right. You have a dog, so your cat doesn't have feelings.
Hey, I mean,
mic drop.
I was like, right, shots fired. But hey, what are you supposed to say? I have, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4 baby gates in a 1,900 square foot house because I have 4 dogs and 2 cats. And my cats have an entire space in the house where dogs don't go. They just don't go there. And they know that dogs don't go there, and it's their space, and they know that they're going to be okay and that they can go in there. And then we have shared spaces, but with gates and things that they know they can get in. And when I'm in here, the dogs aren't going to come. And it's so important. And I'm with you. You can create those spaces, no problem. Baby gates, come on. I mean, and now baby gates are like gorgeous, and catification is beautiful. I mean, I'm not sponsored by Wayfair, but you just go to Wayfair and you can go down a rabbit hole of like beautiful furniture.
So I was just saying this the other night, that we can choose our number one priority. If your number one priority is budget, okay, girl, put in cat hacks, right? You're going to find a million things of upcycling what is otherwise garbage to make every single thing we're talking about.
Yes.
If your number one priority is matching the aesthetic of your home and budget is lower on the list, we got you covered. Everything from cat trees that look like actual trees to the classic ones you're used to stuff that really looks like modern art that could be in the MoMA. We got it all.
And full on cat patios, cat tents, cat screens, cat things that hang out your window. There is no reason you can't catify your space.
And I think that human nature is to stop before we even start thinking about that. We feel really overwhelmed. and like, wait, I've been doing this wrong. So number one, I feel bad about myself.
Yes.
And that might make immediately. Me protect it for, I can't talk about it anymore because now I need to deal with my guilt. Like, take a minute, girl. I got you. Come back when you have digested that. And I want you to know that we are not judging you. We are here ready to move forward and help with love. When you know better, you do better.
That's it. You can't work with tools you don't have, right? If they're not in your toolbox, you can't work with them. So, okay, you're making such great points, and you just said, let me help you. So I want to make sure, one, we have time to answer some of these questions, and then two, we go back, talk about the feeders, and talk about how to make it work. So let me shoot a couple questions at you. Can I? Can we rapid fire you? Okay.
Wet my whistle.
Do it as people are coming through here. So we've got Emily, who said she was having some issues, and this is a common one that I see over at Coach My Cat. We work with this on a lot of different cats. Super vocal and biting when we want something, and it's kind of like, whoa, out of nowhere. I'm sure you know like what that is like, and we talk about that hunt, catch, play, kill, eat life cycle they need. Where does this tie into that, and how do we help Emily here?
So this is exactly that, and frustration on your cat's part. So that it's such an interesting question to be asked in that way, and I don't have my my flashcard for that, so I'm trying to think of how to explain this in a really simple way. Your cat needs to hunt, catch, play, eat. So before we even talk about you having a thing that your cat wants, we want to meet your cat's needs all day, every day, so that their level of frustration when they see the new thing that they want is much lower. Let me give you an example. Have you ever gotten so hungry because you didn't eat for some period of time for whatever? Me, that's like 15 minutes. But let's say you couldn't eat all day. You were working and busy and stressed. You get home, it's 11 o'clock at night. You're like, if I don't have insert food, a sandwich, I'm going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
But had you packed snacks and had time during the day to eat all day, when you get home, you're like, it would be nice to relax and have a meal.
Yeah.
But you're not already up to here.
Like homicidal.
Angry, right? But so we have to know cats are not good at explaining to us what they want until they're desperate.
Yes.
So what we want to do is provide all that first. Hunt, catch, play, eat many times a day. Then we're going to provide the hunting with food in that way. Number one. Number two, I really want you to find how your cat likes to play. And I want you to do that at least twice a day, every day. If you have more than one cat, I want you to do it with each individual cat alone, at least twice a day, every day, as the baseline. So hunt, catch, play, eat at least 6 small meals through the day and night, and play 5 minutes at least. So that's another thing. Human beings, we want to have a whole football game.
Yes.
Cats, really, if you think about it, they wait, figure it out, pounce, done.
Yep.
So a short play is cool. And you can do anything for 5 minutes, Emily. You can.
I think that's a huge win. 2 to 5 minute play session is a win for our cats because we know that that's their natural instinct. Not like dogs who we have to finally say, listen, put the ball, we hide the ball because they won't give up on the ball. Cats are out of it way before that. So,
I just want to finish her question because then when it comes to go time, when your cat is I think your cat's brilliant, telling you what they want. They're just not interacting with you in the way that you want. So I want also, Emily, for you to take a look at some body language stuff. I bet there's some on Coach My Cat that you can learn from. And then when it comes time for the cat wanting the thing, they're going to be way less desperate and way more patient. And then you want to do everything you can to not put your body parts where they want to interact. It is reasonable to expect that a hunter would use their weapons to get what they want.
Yeah, sure, right? They do what works. Animals do what works. It's not about vengeance. It's not about there's that. We want to know how they feel, but the feeling is survival for them, right? It's really, truly, I need my resources. If you provide my resources and I don't have them and I know I can tell you I need them, they're going to do what they can, just like babies, right? So
it's a different way of thinking. Instead of make my cat not bite, It's like, it's reasonable for a cat to bite under certain circumstances. How do I change the circumstances? It's a very different way of thinking.
But it's such an important way of kind of like turning that around, right? So we were going back to introducing cats. And so first of all, I want to give Diane a little shout out there. She's like, hey, my cats are siblings. They love each other. They want to live together. They were sad when one got lost for a week. If they are true siblings and they are litter mates, is there kind of a difference in that bond? Is that really something that we tend to see like lifelong for them? Or do they kind of go back to that natural cat?
So that answer is a little bit complicated. Cats are full of nuance. So sorry for,
Sure.
I like to call it my blah, blah, blah. But it is most likely for siblings who have never been separated to have the easiest time having a great social life together. That bond can be created with any two cats or 3 or 4, but it's, like I said, really hard.
Yeah.
So siblings that have never been separated are the best. So that's why you always say adopt 2 together.
Yeah.
But what happened in Diana? Diane. What happened in Diane's case is that one got out, which left the other one. They do grieve and they do feel stress. Like that. I mean, my best friend's gone. What is up?
Right.
That's hard. So
right.
Animals have emotions. They're not exactly the same as ours, or the cause and effect may not be the same as ours, but they absolutely have emotions. And then the third part of that question is, when the cat number 2 comes home, they smell wrong. So I explained early on that for cats, we want to do everything with nonverbal communication. So Mother Nature gave them just the most incredible sense of smell for 2 things: for actual scent and for pheromones, which there's some terrible loud noise, I'm sorry. Pheromones, which are another chemical communication that's used through an organ in the nose called the vomeronasal organ, that is not smell, but another scent communication.
Yeah.
So when your cat number 2, the wild guy who went on his rogue trip, comes back, they smell like the outside. They may smell like food they ate. They will smell like the environment they lived in while they were gone. And to your resident cat, they really rely on that before looks, before anything. Sure. Yeah. You smell wrong, get out.
Isn't that, I mean, we see that even just when one cat goes to the vet and the other one doesn't, and we come home from something as quick as a vaccine and they're like, hiss, spit, whack. It's like, yeah, we have to reacquaint with our smell in the environment. It's true. The organ that you talk about is the one that makes our kitties make that cute little scrunchy face when they get into something that they want to smell. It's my favorite little face that they make. So our friend Haley was asking a little bit about kind of another question, and Vanessa was asking as well, I'm going to show. When we have 2 cats in the same environment that do these kind of moments where they, play together, but then there's these kind of moments where it's like, a little aggressive, a little much, maybe like a little harder punch than we meant. How do we we obviously don't have to go back. These guys are litter mates. It's not a reintroduction issue. So what's like some advice for cats who live in the same environment, and like here with Vanessa, where they're just maybe a little too energetic and it's going in the wrong direction?
I love this question because this is where Shades of Gray really comes into it. And taking a video helps so much to be able to interpret whether this is really scary or whether this is just play or some sort of, a little tiff. Video is really helpful.
Yeah, body language behind it, right? What it looks like while it's happening, sure.
Body language and vocalization. So yes. One kind of little trick is if there's screaming, then it might be more serious. It could be just playing. But one thing I would say is you do not want to get in between 2 cats that are having this moment. Give them plenty of space to let them work it out. You could try, if it's getting to a place you're uncomfortable with, putting your fishing pole toy out there and luring one away, but do not put your body there. Yeah. And the other thing I would say is what's the context around what's happening there? If you step back and think about every interaction between your cats having to do with resources, you're going to get a lot of information. So where's the food in relation to what's happening here? Where's the favored places to sleep? Where's the favored climbing spot? Where's the litter box? And where's the water? So I want to know, is this actually one cat preventing another cat from getting to a resource to a point where they're going to interact about it? Or is this play?
Sure.
And context is everything.
Well, and that's the other part of Vanessa's question. Those things are going to matter more than age or gender, right? Is there a time when you say age or gender, it really matters in adopting or introducing, or are we pretty open to kind of go with cats here? I mean, because like you said, shades of gray and nuances.
Yeah, so the data that I am familiar with, and again, I'm learning all the time. So if you have studies where I can learn more, please send them my way. But there are not studies that I have read say that any gender match doesn't matter. If they're neutered, two intact males living together, your house is going to smell really special.
Yeah.
but for neutered males and spayed females, the age and gender really don't have a lot to do with it. It's how they're introduced over time. Like I said, the very best thing that you can do is two litter mates. So obviously they're the same age. And the second best you could do is two cats that are approximately the same age that come into your house at the same time, so that no one has a territory and they're establishing their territory together. And the reason I say approximately the same age, it really has more to do with activity level than maturity. If I'm old and I am.
You are not.
Getting a little creaky. If you're bouncing around and want to play all the time, that's just annoying.
Yeah.
More activity level than age. But do you have data on that I'm not up with?
No, and that was why I was interested to ask you that, because I think we often say like, oh, my kitty's getting older and we want to get a younger cat to keep them going. And I don't think, honestly, that there are enough studies about cats in general and data about cats in general. Like, and when we are putting our money and time and investment into it, it's not these areas, right? It's like FIP and like stomatitis and the things that we really have to. But it's part of what I love about Basepaws, the phenotype surveys that our folks do, and the whole Coach My Cat program, because we collect this data and get a little bit better idea. And so hopefully like in 10 years, I can tell you like, yes, 98% of introductions of different age cats are still successful when coached, you know? Like, I just think that.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because our hands are tied a lot of the time. Yeah. That how we value scientific information is of great interest to me, particularly in this moment of COVID-19. But what we want is big numbers of study participants.
Yes.
And so in cat stuff, a lot of times we don't have that because of money. So we're basing all of our information off a study of 4, 7, 15, yes. Where if we had 10,000, we could get so much better information. And so what Basepaws is doing it's going to take a little time, but it is going to change the world. Like, bravo.
Oh, that's sweet of you to say. I'm proud to be a part of it, because it's exactly right. And we get to have these conversations with folks like you and all of these bright minds together. The more data we get, the more we learn, the better we're going to do for these amazing kitties. So we're almost out of time. I want to dedicate a couple minutes for you to be able to talk a little bit more about that reintroduction process. Don't give up, because I think it's really important. And I'm always talking about these feeders. So I know our audience is like, okay, wait, tell me more about using them and being successful.
Okay, so we have a lifetime of teaching. Most of us are not starting with a brand new kitten, but of teaching our cats to eat from a bowl. Now we're going to bring in this thing that smells wrong, because it doesn't smell like my house. I can't make it smell right for every cat. Sure. It needs to smell like my house and my food and me. So that's one thing that we're up against. The other thing that we're up against is movement. So this is a tough one. Cats like things that move exactly like a mouse and don't make noise, or if they're going to make noise, it has to be exactly like a mouse. I cannot make that. And if I could, no one would pay for it because it would be $400 or $500,
right? As well.
So what we're up against is how are we going to get the cat to interact with this surrogate for a mouse? So when we put it on the floor for the first time, we want to put their food that they love and a high value treat in it. Now, in your box, you're going to get one thing that looks like a naked Easter egg with a bunch of holes in it. I call that the trainer because the cat can see see through it and see in it at the heap of food and treats. They can smell it. And most cats will walk, they walk over and they'll bump it with their nose and then it rocks and the treats fall out and the food falls out. And that's sort of the missing link.
Yeah.
Doesn't work for 100% of the cats.
Sure.
If your cat is struggling with that, another tip that I love comes from actually the cat LVT, Ellen Carosa did this because I learned from all of the wonderful cat people out there. Take the mouse skin off of the plastic inserts. Put the food and treats right into the mouse skin. And actually, in all these instances, you can also put catnip or silver vine if your cat likes it.
Sure.
And that thing, the skin, the cat can sort of mash down and use like a bowl.
Okay.
A lot of great things happen there. Now it smells like me. I got my facial pheromones on it while I was putting my face into it with the positive reinforcement of food. It's like a behaviorist dream.
Yeah. I mean, that's perfect.
And now I know it's not scary.
Yeah.
Soon you're going to want to put the plastic back in because the nature of fabric, first of all, the food comes out too easily. And second of all, it's going to get greasy. So a fabric, it has to be a fabric and a plastic situation. And people have asked me about plastic allergies. So when your cat is using this properly, they're actually going to eat off the floor, not out of the plastic.
Right,
so this is going to have very minimal contact with the plastic, if any. So this should actually help if your cat has a contact allergy, not hurt. So that's my other favorite tip is to use that skin itself. Couple more things. We want to add hunger, but not that hangry that we talked about. So a good rule of thumb is about an hour before your scheduled mealtime, take the bowl away, just gone. Because if you leave the bowl there, the cat is like, no, it's supposed to be here. And they can't even handle that the food is somewhere else. Okay. So take the bowl away and put the mouse, the trainer and the skins where the bowl was.
Okay.
Now, if you have lots of cats, you're going to put some where the bowl was, but also spaced out around their typical eating area.
Okay.
And leave. That's
yes, and leave. And then stop messing with them.
That's English. I can't tell you how many people because I talk to everybody. I haven't slept in 6 years, but I will email or talk on the phone with anybody who's trying to get this going. And lots of people say, my cat won't do it. And I said, fine, here's what you're going to do. I repeat exactly what I just said to you. And then I say, and then leave them overnight with it.
Yes.
Leave the room, go to work, like give them an extended period of time when they can't hear you, see you, smell you. They almost 100% will call the next day, and 100% will call in a day or two and say,
we did it
now.
They did it.
Because cats are solitary hunters. They want to hunt alone, eat alone, and explore new things when no one is around.
Yes. Yeah. And I have to say, what actually has ended up happening in my experience with coaching is people come back and they're like, trying to outwit their cat. So they're like, I knew they would not be able to find it. I put it in a place they were never going to be able to find it. I can't believe how fast they found it. And so then we ultimately see people like trying, it really becomes this fun game with people and in getting their cats fed. So, okay. So speaking of fun games, we get to unveil this week's winner. It's my absolute favorite part of the day because we get to give away stuff. So we give away a cat kit to our winner. I know, right? It's so awesome. And I just have one handy right here on my shelf behind me.
How about that?
So I get to give this away. So this is Kits and Tricks. This is the part where I share my screen. It's terrifying, but I think I'm going to be able to do it. Ah, there we are. So Kits and Tricks. Now, here is the thing I have to tell you. I secretly crushed super hard on an orange boy. And I mean, I think this might be one of the most lovely orange boys I've ever seen. He's just as handsome as they come, right?
I mean, look at that cat.
I know. So that's like, I'm like, this is my job. I love my job. Now, what we did, Dr. Bales, is we talked last week about getting so the Basepaws challenge last week was all about pictures that are up to date in case your cat goes missing, making sure that microchips are up to date. So we totally talked about avoiding all of those terrible, scary things that happen. And so this was a missing cat poster ready to go from Kits and Tricks because, you know, if the worst happens, we tend to find like, all the pictures of my cat are like sleeping and covering our face. And we don't have like a good, this is what my cat looks like. Have you seen my cat picture? So that was what the challenge was this past week. This week, it's going to be a lot more chill. Okay. Because last week was pretty intense. That was scary, sad stuff. So make sure you guys are going over to Facebook and Instagram and you are checking out Basepaws Challenge. When you take part, make sure you're hashtagging Basepaws Challenge, you're tagging Basepaws, and tag me if you want to, because I get to see all the adorable pictures.
If I take myself out of the contest of the winning, can I participate?
Yes. I mean, because it just means you send over adorable pictures, and that's my favorite thing. I let everybody participate if they want to. So make sure you guys are following on Instagram if you want to follow me. Make sure you're hashtagging Basepaws Challenge. And if you have not already, you guys get over to Doc and Phoebe's. Make sure you're checking out the indoor hunting feeder because it will change your cat's life, which will change your life.
And a little pro tip right now, because of the pandemic, we are 100% sold out. The only place you can get it is qvc.com.
Yeah. And I have to say, you and I talked right at the beginning of this and you were like, I don't know what's going to happen. So, our thoughts are with you. We hope this kind of, we can't get enough feeder mice. So COVID go away so we can get our feeder mice back.
Yeah, I mean, it's the least of our worries right now but I'm so sorry for what everyone's going through. But I'm going through it too. So hopefully
we're going through it together, right?
Yeah. And shine again someday. And in the meantime, let's keep our cats happy. And you can get the hunting feeder on qvc.com.
That's right. So check out qvc.com. Go over to Instagram. Make sure you follow Kits and Tricks. You're the winner this week. I can't wait to see you get your kit. Thank you guys. And make sure you're hashtag Basepaws Challenge. We'll see you next week for more Cats and Coffee. Dr. Liz Bales, thank you so much for being here.
Cheers.
We'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.